Hello everyone, good morning. Today I just want to go over some of the fundamentals of programming language. Fundamentals of programming language, but with the help of AMPScript as our server-side scripting language will be our fundamentals. That will be the agenda of this training. And I would like to start with some fundamentals which is not available anywhere or it is not been noticed with many programmers who are working on AMPScript. In most of the cases, the people come from a marketer perspective and they find it very difficult in the language called AMPScript because they are not aware of fundamentals on programming, or they might not be a programmer who wants to learn AMPScript. So to learn this and to achieve this, I would like to start with very basic fundamentals like variables, operators, some functions, and many things which might be coming around a programming language. So this is what I want to achieve with this video, and it will be series of videos to make you people learn AMPScript and to become a master around it. And that's the agenda of this training, where we'll be starting with variables, operators, and some basic functions, and all around how to use it. What if you have a cloud page, what you don't have a cloud page, and how AMPScript might help you people to achieve some of the things. So I would like to start with AMPScript basics, and for this I'll be making use of Email Studio, and I'll be creating a very basic HTML code. And within the HTML code, and this is purely dedicated for the people who doesn't have a cloud page access, and they want to learn some fundamentals of AMPScript. So using Email Studio, and with the help of an email, you can just create an HTML email and then you can practice this basic AMPScript, but you need to have a marketing cloud login. Okay, any language, if you're not aware of it, that's absolutely fine. So this is the basic place, or you can say that this is how the server recognizes anything which comes within this block. If you observe how I typed it, that it will be easy, double percentage, square bracket, and double percentage. The code of AMPScript comes within this. So anything which you write within this is treated as AMPScript, or if you want to write AMPScript, it should be enclosed in this block. Okay, every language comes with its own block. Let's take an example of an JavaScript. So you should write within the script code. If you want to write PHP code, it should be enclosed like this. And try to observe the way I'm typing it. Some of the fundamentals where we should not skip the syntax of it. So now, what is the word syntax? Syntax, you can keep it as simple as that it is the grammar of the language what you're learning. If you're learning the language English, you term it as grammar, but any language which you're learning in computer is known as a syntax. Any language in computer, instead of using the word grammar, you will be using the term called syntax or terminology. So if you want to write AMPScript, this is the block. If you want to write JavaScript, this is the block. If you want to write PHP, this is the block. If you want to write an HTML, you will be writing in this way. And let's take an example of any other compiled language. You'll be writing a main code like this. It's a combination of languages which you people can learn. So this is very basic. It can be in language C. It can be in the language C++. It might be in the language of C# or Java. You'll be writing the block. This is the block. Block starts here and block starts here. Okay. So when we have AMPScript here, so every language based on whether it is a compiled or interpreted. So AMPScript is a language which is not case sensitive. It is not case sensitive. It runs on server. It is an interpreted language. There are some fundamentals or nuances what do people have to learn. It's not case sensitive. It runs on the server. It is interpreted language. It's not a compiled language. So there are two types of languages. One is known as compiled language. The other one is known as interpreted language. So compiled languages, examples like C, C++, Java is a combination of compiled and interpreted, and C hash. Major languages many people learn. Interpreted languages, you can go with HTML, and it is also an interpreted language. JavaScript is an interpreted language. PHP is an interpreted language. Exactly same way, AMPScript is also an interpreted language. SSJS, people who are very familiar with Salesforce Marketing Cloud, they use something called SSJS, which is server-side scripting language or server-side JavaScript. All these can be, or the one which falls under interpreted. Under interpreted, with respect to JavaScript, AMPScript, and SSJS, they fall under two more categories. One is known as the client side, or it might be the server side one. So the code which runs on client side, like browser, the best example is JavaScript. It's a client side because it runs on browser. The one which runs on the server, like AMPScript, PHP, AMPScript, and SSJS are server-side languages. Server-side interpreted scripting languages. Okay. When I use that scripting languages, I'll explain you people what all the things you should learn about scripting, which we will be learning as and when we progress. Now, let's jump into some fundamentals. As I mentioned, we need to go with variables, operators, functions. Let's go with variables. Since I use the word scripting, variables can directly be declared on different languages. In AMPScript, you'll use the keyword var. When I say keyword, and when I know that it is AMPScript, it is not case sensitive. So to recognize the keywords and the variables, you'll be using an at symbol, and then you'll be going with your variable name. Let's take a very simple variable name like A at B. You can have a single lettered variables. You can treat them as a container to store data, and data is volatile. Means it executes within this block, memory is allocated, container treats as a memory. To store data, execute within this block, and it will be erased within the memory. So you can have a single lettered variable like this, or you can have a meaningful name like at number 1. So you can type it in uppercase or lowercase. Preferably try to go with the lowercase one. Any AMPScript number 2. So I have two variables, number 1 and number 2. I have two more variables called A and B. Now, since it is a scripting language, you can store anything in this. You can store anything. Like, I want to store data. So you have to use the keyword called set, then your variable name A, single operator or single equals called assignment operator, and your value. I want to store 12. So what is A here? A is a variable or a container or a memory which is now storing value called 12. Since I mentioned that it is volatile, so you can store anything in this because it is not combined or binded with. So now spacing is not mandatory. I want to store SFMC. What is SFMC now? Anything which is represented in single quotes is a string. This is a number as we know it. Number can also be with this one. Okay, two major things. So we'll try to learn more and more about it, because as and when we start storing data. So what will be the value of A is 12.25 in line number 6. When it executes the line number 7, it will be having the string value. Character is 1. If it is more than one character, in programming we call it as string. Character. We don't have something called characters in programming language. We use the word called string. That is the type. We don't have characters concept. We have string concept here. Okay. So we'll try to learn more about data, whatever we store, how it stores, what are the other stuff. So what is the value of a variable A after line number 7 till the line number 10, since it is not changed, it will be SFMC. It is having a value. It is having a value 12.25 in line number 6. It is updated, or you can think that it is changed with the new value. Any language, variables treat as okay. Now, next is the interesting one that I'll go with X with a value 125. What will happen now? So you might be wondering, we did not declare it. Anything which starts with var is a declaration. Anything which starts with set is giving a value to this memory. So how does it work? So any value which is on the right hand side will be stored in this memory. Anything which is in this value, it will be stored in this memory. If it is an existing variable, it gets overwritten. If it is a very new name, the memory is allocated and then the value is stored. Okay? This is how it works with respect to AMPScript variable. Now you might be wondering, is it mandatory to declare? The answer is no. Why? Because it is scripting language. Why? It is a scripting language. JavaScript, PHP, all these are an example of a scripting language. It's not that you have to declare it. This piece of code is known as declaration. This is where you'll assign the value. Okay? This is about assignment. So after you assign the value, you might need some operations to perform. Let's take an example of adding two numbers. So if you want to add two numbers, so basically what you'll be doing, it's very simple, right? If it is mathematics, you'll just try 12 plus 25, and the answer is, you know the answer for this one, which is 37. But this cannot happen the way you need like this within Marketing Cloud. Within Marketing Cloud, if you are using AMPScript, you have to specify a variable set at any variable which is defined or declared, or you can have your new variable being mentioned. I'll go with something called result. You can name anything. You have to use the function called add, and you'll specify your two values here like this. You cannot add with this way, which you might have learned in any other programming language. You have to use add with two values which you want to add them. You can add only two values. Now the question is, what is add? Add is a function. Add is a function. Some operators are directly been defined like this. This is an operator. Any symbol is known as an operator. In Marketing Cloud, in AMPScript, some mathematical operations cannot happen with symbols like this or operators. You have to use a function. Now, what is a function? Function basically takes three things. One, you should have a name, then you'll provide the input, then it will provide the output. What is the name here? Name is add. What is the input? It is 12 and 25 with comma operator. Output is stored in this one. Always this is the format of execution. Any function in any language. Any function in any language. Okay. When you see round bracket, most of the use cases, most of the scenarios, they are functions. You will learn a couple of functions in future. For example, you'll be learning something called lookup rows. Okay, function. There are a couple of more functions which you might be learning. Example, add, subtract. Okay, you might be using something called lookup function, row function, row function, concat function, proper case function, or many others. There are 14 different categories, 14 or more different categories of these functions. Add, sub, lookup, row, concat, proper case. You can observe this. All these are the names. They expect input. Remember, all these are the names. Input goes in this round bracket. Okay, this is the place where you specify the input, and always the output is stored in a variable. You have to store the output in a variable. Now, what is variable? Variable is a memory which stores data. Any type of data based on what you provide or based on the output. So try to remember these three things with respect to functions: name, input, and output. So always you'll have this operator equals. You need to have this keyword set, then the variable name, and due to AMPScript, you have to use the symbol at before it. It can be declared or without declaring also it works fine. Right hand side will be a function. It will be a direct value. These are the two major things what you might encounter. So this is all the basics. Now I would like to, now I have some explanation. Okay. I want to do some explanation in AMPScript, because in future, if someone looks into my code, they should understand what it is. That is achieved with the help of commenting. /*, type your explanation and */. Anything which comes in this, anything which comes between this /* and */ is treated as a comment. Comment is a piece of code which doesn't execute. So how many lines of code we have? Executable lines. Executable lines are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the executable lines. You can have any number of enters, any number of spaces in between, that doesn't matter. Line number 4 is known as comment. Means it is written as a part of your explanation for other developers in your team. So you can have a single line comment, you can have a multi-line comment like this. This is the only way you can comment it. So anything written here is not considered for execution. Is not considered for execution. So this is the piece of code which is known as commenting. This is AMPScript start. This is AMPScript end block. In between, we have a variable keyword, set keyword, variable keyword to declare it, set keyword to assign a value to the memory. After having all your information ready, you have to print it. To print it, you need an HTML block. With or without HTML block is also fine. So if you want to print, so this is known as inline AMPScript. This is block AMPScript. Anything written this is known as block, and this is known as inline, which comes always within HTML. Within this inline scripting or inline AMPScript, you'll be using the function called v. Remember, when I use the word function, it will be having a round bracket. Anything which is present within the v function your variable, any variable, it gets printed. Without it gets printed. Okay, AMPScript is done. We know how to print it. So don't forget the basic fundamentals. This is the block of AMPScript. And what is this one? This is inline AMPScript. Okay, I'll type it again. Inline AMPScript starts with double percentage, double equals double percentage. Anything which you want to work, it will be here. For example, it's a function called v at the variable name called result. So I'll try to execute this in our email. So before doing that, I would like to log into Marketing Cloud. And most of the cases, when I log into Marketing Cloud or anyone, so since this username password cannot be shared, so I'll try to log in. After login, I'll share my screen again. All these are the language fundamentals. It might be in AMPScript. It might be in the language PHP, C, C++. Every language comes with the basic AMPScript and basic language fundamentals like variable, how to assign the variable with a value, some data types, operators, and then you'll be moving with something called displaying them. Two basic fundamentals, variable, assign the value, and display them. And don't forget the fundamental which I mentioned about the function. So I'll go with AMPScript. And this video will be helping people who doesn't have access to cloud pages, but still you want to learn AMPScript. But you should have access to your, okay. Let me share the screen. Now I'm trying to create an email. I'm trying to create an email with HTML. I'll call this one as AMPScript Basics. Usually have this times. And this is purely for the people who doesn't have the access to cloud pages. Even if you have the access, you can do it. If you watched my previous videos, you can still do it. It is coming with some pop-ups, so don't worry about that. Since we are trying to access this one, for now, I'll just go with welcome to Intio. And I'll try to just preview it, since we need to execute this code with the help of any data extension. All subscribers, okay, it might be coming with some warning. So let's wait for this result. If this is executed, that's good. Okay, so since it is an email, probably it is trying to throw us some, let's have some basic fundamentals of it, like physical mailing address. Let's have the track email opens code, since it is in the email. And let's try to have a profile center link. And now it will be good to go with preview and test it with any of your favorite subscriber in your sendable data extension. What you observe now is 37. What is 37? So 37. So let me place this in a div. Style, display. I'll just try to have this display now. And this piece, let me save it. Let me go to next. Let's see the value now. So what is the value you are observing here? It is 37. Okay. This is the value. What is stored in result? Result is having add 12 plus 25. I want to display X. I want to display A. So if you want to display A and if you display it, let's have a break. What is the expected value for A? A should display the latest value in it, which is SFMC. Let's see this. So to execute it, come back to your editing, paste it, click save, click next. This is purely for the people who doesn't have access to. So you can see 37 SFMC 125. Why this is important? Very important for future. A is a variable which can store only one value at a time. Line number 11, 12.25. Line number 12, it is SFMC. So this is the value what you should expect from line number 12 till line number 22, because this is the latest value stored. Okay, with this, I would just like to stop this video to make you people digest this on commenting, scripting, okay, variables, the keywords I type usually in uppercase. As I mentioned, it is not case sensitive, just to recognize the keywords of AMPScript to differentiate from variables and to differentiate from AMPScript functions. It's not mandatory, just for your reference when you're learning it. So what we discussed is variables, very basic operators and functions, fundamentals of functions, not in detail, but we'll be doing a lot more in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video.